I've got that radiant glow, that sweet, glorious blue. And radiant
On the western edge of the map, in the Commonwealth wasteland, past the Greater Mass Blood Clinic, down the road from an unmarked military outpost, stocked with rusted armoured vehicles and power armour, you, the sole survivor, can find a bunker. A once secure location meant to keep the Boston mayor and his family safe, should war break out. But what happened inside this bunker? Did the family make it in time? What grim fate befell those that did make it inside? All whilst an angry mob desperately tried to break down the doors to escape from their impending nuclear annihilation. Let's head there and have a look and find out what happened at the Boston Mayoral Shelter. Hello there, and welcome to the Green Vault Podcast, a lore-based podcast delving into the world of Fallout and its locations, be they eerily spooky, weirdly funny, quirkily strange, or wonderfully benign. So join me, your host Red, as we take a look at a location in Fallout and discuss every aspect from architecture, quests, loot, sound, and game design. So welcome, Fallout enjoyers, let's get started. So yes, we are in Fallout 4, at the edge of the map on the west side, nearly exactly at the centre of the edge of it too. As I stated, you can find this spot closest to an unmarked military area. From the road you can just see the top of the structures in the distance. Depending on the elevation, you might also see the distinctive yellow of a bulldozer too. Up the road, with only fragments of paved concrete remaining, and into a location surrounded by blasted trees, a great vignette awaits you in the form of environmental storytelling. The road leads up to a concrete bunker entrance and a single metal structure, one of the single-room cabs you can find here and there with the metal stairs winding up to it. It's one of those quick-to-build metal constructions that are no doubt easy and cheap to build. You'd see a lot of them around construction sites. On the road are two vehicles, a rusted shell of a truck with no trailer, and a small, rusted but still distinctively yellow bulldozer. I do love the design of the bulldozer, a very retro future bubble frame for the driver. There are plenty of skeletons outside this location. One lies behind the bulldozer, another hangs slumped forwards out of the bulldozer cabin. Funnily enough, if you look inside the cabin, there aren't actually any controls at all. No doubt time and graphical constraints, as it's not too important that there are controls in it, but I prefer to believe it's operated solely by, mind powers or something, I don't know. The bulldozer is facing the entrance to the concrete bunker. Attached to the bucket of the bulldozer via two cables is a blue door, now ripped off its frame and lying at the entrance. Another skeleton lays on a metal ramp that lets you step into the single concrete L-shaped room of the exterior of this bunker. As if to emphasise the death and decay here, two trees slump against the concrete bunker's exterior, one still upright on the side, the other lying atop the bunker, its gnarled branches hanging down in front of the bunker window. Rubble is piled up around this location. It has the feeling of something that was built quickly, not carefully. Inside the room are more skeletons, two dressed in the remains of military uniforms. One is hanging through the frame of the bunker's window, as if they were knocked out and left to dangle as the angry mob pounded on the doors. Another lays prone nearby. The mob seemingly didn't make it in. 4 skeletons lay at the front of the door. More did actually make it in, but we'll discover that a little later. The door to the bunker is locked and requires a key, as the prompt states, meaning you can't lockpick it. A cable runs from the top of the doorframe to outside, leading to the metal construction cab room. Up inside is a mess of furniture and 3 more skeletons. 2 strangely seem to be in lab coats. The third is another military personnel that was sitting at a desk for controls. A terminal is usable inside, enabling you to unlock the bunker door and head inside. Entering the bunker, fog hangs in the air as 3 lights illuminate the entrance area. 2 standard lights, but the third is an emergency red light next to a door. You find yourself standing in a concrete walled area stacked with boxes and shelving. 3 more skeletons lie here. Two are military, one on the ground just below the red light, and another is in a sort of like a trolley cart thing, like a mine cart almost, but has like, normal wheels. I'm not exactly sure what the correct word for those things is, so I'm going to go with a mine cart trolley thing. They look as if they were crouching in this mine cart, basically ready to fire at anyone who made it through the door, though strangely none of the military personnel so far actually have weapons on them. The outside, yes, you can assume scavengers have cleared it out, and not everyone in the wasteland can read anymore, so potentially you can assume that maybe no one could unlock the terminal if they came upon it because they couldn't, read it. But yes, no weapons on the two military personnel in here either, though there is a box of 10mm ammunition lying on the ground next to the drooping arm of the guy in the minecart, as if they dropped the box when they perished. The third skeleton is wearing a dress, leaving you to believe this may be part of the mayoral entourage, perhaps his wife or daughter, you can't tell, or it's a civilian that got inside before the outside was sealed. That is the current assumption I personally made when I got to this part. The door ahead is busted down. The ominous red glow illuminates a cave tunnel leading ahead and down. A lantern sits on some steps down, still on and illuminating two more skeletons. The walls are rough, crisscrossed with an assortment of metal beams, almost as if they kind of just got whatever they could to shore it up. There's no consistency to the beam thickness or the way they're put up or what have you. It almost looks like some amateurs did it, to be honest. Pipes appear here and there as you hesitantly walk down this oppressive-feeling cave. Another military skeleton sits next to a stealth boy in an alcove, illuminated by another lantern. Some bioluminescent mushrooms start to appear as you walk ahead. The path splits, but both lead into the next area. Gloom and mist continues to hang in the air as you walk forward. You descend into more piping and support beams, some concrete bricks, others metal. Brick stairs lead up again slightly into another area with more skeletons, mostly dressed in civilian-looking clothes. A metal mesh wall and security gate seems to have blocked some of these people here. Past the gate is another storage area. Filled with boxes of what was probably supplies to live off for the bunker. A terminal is on a desk and a laser turret is on the ceiling, attacking you as you enter. However, the laser turret's laser is blue, not red. If you're familiar with the Institute at this point in the game, you'll recognize the laser beams as the Institute's tech. They fire blue instead of the traditional red beams. The terminal is locked at a novice level and simply controls the turret. You don't really have to do it. I mean, you probably will destroy the turret before you even get to the terminal. The storage room is an L shape, and at the end is an elevator leading down into the bunker proper. I do love that the button to the elevators, I think it does it here and elsewhere, they flicker, creating an electronical flickering sound with it. With the tense music that often accompanies interiors like this and the claustrophobic atmosphere, it creates a really creepy soundscape. The elevator descends quickly. You exit out into a concrete service corridor. The air is hazy, letting you know gas is in the air. If you shoot it, it will set off a wave of flame that can take you down if you're not careful and, well, depending on your difficulty level you're playing on as well. Which happens immediately as you step out because a turret starts to shoot at you, setting off the gas. It's another blue-beamed turret. You now have a split path ahead of you. The service corridor ahead, or a more hidden route to your right. This bends around sharply to an open pipe big enough for you to crouch through. The red pipe is lit with red cage lights. They're sort of staggered out, not to illuminate too much, but it gets you forward. The more traditional path is down that service corridor. You can find two skeletons in this pipe laying next to each other. One is in a shirt and pants and the other is in a dress. A tale of two lovers meeting their end here in an embrace perhaps, or scrambling through in a desperate attempt to escape or evasion or what have you. It's unclear once again. The path splits in this pipe here, but just ahead is a cymbal-clapping monkey at a dead end, so not really a split. Next to it is a bottle cap mine, ready to hurt any unobservant explorer distracted by the now activated electronic monkey. Damn creepy things, I hate them so much. The other path leads to what seems like another dead end, except there is a button to open up part of the pipe. Another button is on the other side, so either way you would have access whichever side you came at it from. You head down a ramp into a concrete gymnasium. The rubble-strewn gym has baskets of baseball equipment on the side with a bench and a jukebox. The court itself is a basketball court. The floor is slick with the rainbow colour of oil, and a skull lies on the ground at the centre of the court. Distracted by this room, you might not notice the synths as they patrol into this room. Attacking you on sight, you might find yourself fleeing back into the pipe for cover. Rather creepily, however, more synths await you back in the pipe. The synths don't spawn until you enter this gymnasium area at this point. It's only a matter of time before you have to fight them. A little note about the synth spawning here. I do always run through these areas and write it as I go. That way I'm sort of experiencing it along almost with you, as it were, you might say. So I genuinely went down this red pipe instead of going the more traditional route because, well, I wanted to be honest. And honestly, I didn't even really think about it till later. I thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But anyway, after I completed this place, I did actually reload and go back and have a look and see where the synths spawned if you went the more traditional quotations way. And they actually spawn again in this gymnasium regardless, so you can make your way through almost this entire place without facing an enemy if you go the other way. It's just the turrets at the start and what have you that you face until you get to this point. Then the synths are spawned in. Then you battle your way out rather than sort of battling your way through, which is the way I kind of went. But yes, back to the location. Again, you're offered a split path. A huge hole on the wall leads into the darkness of a cave, or you can continue further into the facility. Another door leads to a generator/work room that contains some workbenches and another skeleton, this one in a yellow dress. A holotape rests on a chair labelled Boston Shelter, Where Are You? And it goes like this. Where are you, honey? I've been told to take the children to a safe place near the gym. Are you okay? The children are scared. This whole situation is my fault. I convinced you we needed all this stuff if the worst ever happened. Now look at what's happening. All my fault. When you come back, hold on. Looks like the little one's hungry. Shh, it's okay, baby girl. Don't cry. It's okay, Mummy's here. Listen, when you come back, let's get out of here. Let's give them this place. We don't need it. Love you, honey. See you soon. In the background of the recording, you can hear a baby being fussy. A sad final message. With a split path, the cave will come later, so for now, you can head up into the locker room. More equipment and Nuka-Cola bottles lay strewn on the floor. Heading out to the stairs, you can find a little scene behind another wheeled cart that's turned over. Behind it is a teddy bear sitting in a wheelchair of appropriate scale to the teddy bear, almost like it was made for the teddy bear. It's holding a baby rattle, and on a box in front of it is a camera positioned to take a photo of the teddy bear. Very strange indeed, or perhaps the fun of children that were obviously meant to be living here. Up the stairs leads to a corridor. Everything so far has been very concrete, industrial feeling, like this facility either existed beforehand or creature comforts have yet to be introduced properly. Piping plunges into the floor and ceilings as well as running along the ceiling with the vents and ducts. The corridor you find yourself in is now at least carpeted. Several rooms are accessible, a restroom and a guard barracks to your immediate left as you come up the stairs. The restroom seems intended for the guards' use, a shower, toilet, urinal and sink. The barracks has several bunk beds and a locked security door sealed by a terminal with the master lock. The walls are wallpapered at least, though it's of course peeling and would have been a shade of reddish brown perhaps. They still got a painting and some nice looking furniture despite their cramped accommodations. A holotape is on the central table, labelled Boston Shelter Guard Update, which says, "Found the mayor in the tub last night. Locked the door before the missus found him. Didn't want her to see him like that. I told her he'll be back soon and not to worry. In the meantime, I told her to take the children down into the utility room in the gym and wait for the all clear. The situation's getting out of control and we're outnumbered. It's only a matter of time before this place falls into chaos." So once again, another little glimpse into what might have actually happened. You can find the key to the mayor's bathroom in a chest of drawers next to the master lock terminal. The next room is a kid's room, painted in a retro blue with fun patterns and carpeted in red. 3 single beds let you know 3 kids must have been here. So no doubt the mayor had 3 larger kids, and must have had 4 obviously, including the baby. The room is furnished comfortably with books and toys. Disturbingly, however, there are 4 wooden kids' blocks. These have letters on them and on different directions as a kid's toy, as it were. They're sitting on a chest of drawers and they spell out I-A-M-D or I-am-D. So yes, if Fallout loves to use these blocks to spell out things every time, so every time you see them, you've got to make sure to read them to see what they say, because they love doing it indeed. So I-am-D or I am dead, no doubt. That is, yes, quite creepy. The next two rooms are restrooms, most likely for the mayor's family. The female denoted one is open and has a makeup tray and a mirror in addition to the usual stuff. The male one is locked, however. Using the key you found in the guards' barracks, you can go inside and find a skeleton in a bathtub, surrounded by beer bottles and a radio in the tub with the skeleton. A holotape is next to the tub on the lid of the toilet labelled Boston Shelter, Mayor's Goodbye. This one states, "Hi, sweetheart. I'm sorry it had to end this way. I tried to build a place where our children could live comfortably. You know I'm a family man, and you know our children come first. I'd do anything for them, even at the expense of taxpayers' money. The mob has broken through, and it's only a matter of time before they reach the lower level. As a last resort to protect our family, I give you myself. Take my body to the people. Tell them I died a coward. Maybe they'll leave you in peace. I left the key to the safe with one of the attendants. I forgot his name. Anyway, goodbye, my darling. I love you and the children so much." So it seems the mayor used taxpayers' money to fund his rather lavish bunker. A bunker with a gymnasium and all the creature comforts. We heard earlier that his wife was the one that pushed him to get all this stuff in here. You'll see a bit more of the opulence upstairs soon. With that chilling goodbye, you can go into the next room. Rather uniquely for this door, it's actually cracked open a little bit, which is not normally what you see in Fallout. I think if you were coming through this place not having come across any bad guys yet, it would have been a very ominous thing to see this door cracked open and the light beaming through it. Because yes, you don't normally see a door like that. They're either fully open, fully closed, or they're damaged and you can see through it anyway. This was the bedroom for the mayor and his wife. This room is again comfortable looking, with a TV in one nook, a turned-over baby's crib, a holotape player, a radio, double bed, the works. To break the room up, it even has a little step in the middle where the bed and the containers are, and it splits them off from the TV and the holotape player area. There's a master lock safe here, but you don't have the key for that yet. But next to it is a steamer trunk. This will have some level-scaled loot for you at the very least. The final room is a simple washer and dryer room, so nothing too fancy or anything like that. So let's go upstairs. This is the final sort of area for this location, if you went in the direction through the pipe. Upstairs are several joining rooms. One is a nicely appointed lounge, fitted with a bar, countertop and fireplace with 2 chairs in front of it. You'll no doubt face some of the remaining synths here too if they haven't patrolled down to you. The next room is a kitchen and another lounge-type area with 2 couches facing a second TV. The rooms split with carpet turning to tiles into the kitchen. It's a small preparation area, but has the fancier-looking gadgets and gizmos of an expensive retro-future Americana kitchen. There's 2 rooms through the kitchen, which are storage areas. Shelves after shelves of now decayed boxes and a big ice cooler are within. Hidden in the shelves at the back of the last room, you'll find the final skeleton. Next to it is a suitcase containing the Boston Mayoral Shelter safe key. This is presumably the unnamed attendant of the mayor he mentioned. The spot they're in almost conveys this sense that they were hiding back here, cowering even with their suitcase. A stack of pre-war cash is next to them as well, as if they were hiding with their money and their loot, hoping the angry mob wouldn't find them. The safe will be unlocked when you go back to the cave. For now, you can continue upwards and back into the uncarpeted concrete and piped walls of the facility. Stairs lead up to the corridor where the elevator was actually in. If you went immediately down the pipe when exiting the lift, you might find a last synth or 2 here and another active turret. This corridor is straight, but it juts out in random spots, leaving it a bit crooked, which is why the second turret may not have seen you. A terminal opens a security gate with some supplies inside. More crates, boxes, trolleys and carts fill the corridor. There's even another toilet in a cart, though where that was going to go, who knows. You'll find yourself now back at the elevator, so that sort of completes the loop, as it were. Heading back now to that safe, you'll find, unfortunately, it's just filled with generic loot. A good bit of loot, but it's all just random things like stim packs and what have you. Nothing special and no cool weapon, I'm sorry to say. It seems, as far as I can tell, and I've looked up on wikis and what have you as well as my own investigation, there doesn't seem to be a code for the master lock terminal in the guards' barracks. Again, like the safe, there's actually nothing special in there, it's just generic but nice loot. And last but not least, the ominous cave in the gymnasium. Heading into the cave, you'll be surprised by light streaming in just around the bend, leading up a dirt ramp. A hole in the roof is letting the sunlight in. Warning signs in the form of a rib cage and another skull let you know that all is not well here, however. As you walk up, you'll see the body of a Brahmin, partially eaten. Suddenly, a roar from the hole above you has you jumping back as a deathclaw slides down the hole into the now very tight-feeling cave. You get very little warning with this angry monster. It's on you very fast and you'll find yourself staggering down the ramp, desperately trying to drop the beast. With that heart attack over though, however, you have now completed the Boston Mayoral Shelter. Almost. As you return up the lift and head back into the caves above, more synths will attack you, having spawned up there too. Battling a few more, you can finally head outside. No more synths await you outside, so now you're finished with this location. So yes, there you have it. As a fun little location, a tale of mayoral greed and the ramifications of what can happen. And as is pretty traditional in Fallout, no survivors. Piecing the story together, you can now get an idea of what actually happened. When the war broke out, the mayor and his family fled to their bunker. The people, annoyed at his opulent spending and obvious selfishness, charged the bunker. They made it through in stages, first busting open the door with the bulldozer, then getting through the guards to the security gate. Almost like a war of attrition, they made it further and further in. This, however, I find a little confusing. It seems like the angry mob was annoyed at the mayor and breaking down the doors to get to him, not trying to get to safety because of the bombs dropping. But everyone seemed to have succumbed to radiation. Why else would their bodies be in the positions that they're in? There's no sign of people surviving and leaving the area or what have you. It seems like everyone was kind of in place when the bombs dropped and, the blast took them out. It's how you find a lot of other places. And we personally know, who experienced the Fallout 4 beginning, how quickly the TV went from bombs are dropping to bombs actually dropping in your location. It was pretty quick. It was like maybe a couple minutes. That does not feel like it's enough time. So it's hard to precisely say exactly what happened and how it unfolded. Once again, I think it's one of those things where if you think about it too hard, you start to find the holes in the story that you find. Very surface level, like, oh yes, this is how it happened, but then you start to think about it and go, oh, wait, hang on a second. Like, so these people were charging. The only thing I can think of is that people started rioting before the bombs fell, chased the mayor and his family into this location, started breaking down the door, all that sort of stuff happened. Then coincidentally, the bombs started to drop while they were mid-riot, as it were. And the bunker being unsealed, it's like it hasn't got a vault door or anything, so odds of radiation, especially that much radiation just leaking in, is probably pretty high, I imagine. So yes, it's unclear exactly how the events unfolded, at least to me. I can't personally confidently state one way or another exactly what happened, but now thinking about it and speaking aloud, I do think mayhaps that's what happened. The mayor was in trouble, fled, then, coincidentally, at the same time, the bombs started dropping. Part of the civil unrest that was happening around Boston at this time. So strangely, the door was sealed to the bunker, but you didn't need any access codes or any hacking skills at all to get in. It really feels like anyone could have gotten in at any time. Perhaps the positions of the skeletons being in that control room means that mayhaps they took control back, them being the military or the people on the side of the mayor, and they managed to seal the door, not letting anyone else in, which explains the pile-up at the door, and then the bombs fell. Perhaps that's one of the best explanations I can think of. But yes, that is it for the location. Now let's delve into the quests and loot and what have you. So there are several quests that send you here, but they're all Radiant quests. Essentially, Radiant quests in Fallout usually send you to a randomly selected location, this place being one of them, and it spawns an item or uses the enemies that already exist in it, or spawns an extra enemy or a few, and the locations chosen are usually places like this, where there's not a huge amount of main storyline stuff or any at all, and typically as well no side quests. There is actually 3 for the Brotherhood of Steel. One is escorting a scribe on a research patrol, and you travel with them to this location and acquire data and then return to the Pridwin to continue on. And that one's called Learning Curve. The next is Quarter Mastery, and that is helping a scribe with some technology, retrieving it. So there's a piece of technology that will be randomly spawned in this location, and you need to go and find it from there. There's also Cleansing the Commonwealth, which is given by a knight. They ask you to basically clear out a location of, quote, abominations, which does include synths. So they're basically like, we've heard the synths are there, go take them out. There's one called Variable Removal, which is a railroad radiant quest. And this one requires you to just basically go to a random location and eliminate a Corsair that gets spawned, which is a high tier, high level synth bad guy. And thus a Corsair will be randomly spawned in this location. There's also Randolph Safe House, which is another railroad radiant quest. You'll be sent out to grab a dead drop, which will give information about a location that needs clearing out. And the location that needs clearing out can be this Boston Mayoral Bunker. That's all to do with wanting safe locations and safe avenues of escape for synths that they've freed. Once again, this location either being a threat or a place they want to take people to send them out. And that's all the quests you can get for this location, 3 Brotherhood Radiant and 2 Railroad Radiant. But yes, let's move on to the loot. There isn't actually very many... There's no unique loot, for instance. There's just, of course, the holotapes that you find. There's a fusion core you can find if you need those, as well as an astoundingly awesome Tales magazine. This magazine basically gives you health regeneration at 1 point per in-minute game, which is not too shabby, actually. To be quite frank, that might actually, especially if you're doing like a hardcore survival run, that would actually be pretty handy to find. There is also a Fat Man, which is, the mini nuke launcher, and you find that in the Den of the Deathclaw. That's, you have to take down the Deathclaw to actually get that weapon. There is also a mini nuke around, so I suppose you can get the weapon and a single piece of ammunition for it, which is nice, I guess. But yes, that's it, really. I will say it's been a few episodes, actually, since I've mentioned any interesting loot. Perhaps next time I'll find a location that actually has some more interesting loot. But yes, that's it for the general loot. And the last notes or Easter eggs or what have you, the turrets will actually not be hostile towards you if you are on good terms with the Institute. I assume that means that the synths won't attack you either, so if you're in their good books, they won't attack you because you're friend. And the synths will spawn regardless of whether the Institute is still active or not. Meaning if you've gone down the storyline and taken out the Institute or what have you, destroyed it completely, they will still spawn apparently. And the last thing is semi-linked to this area in that you can find the Boston Mayoral Shelter bathroom key, the one where you open the door and find the mayor in the bath. You can find a copy of that in a house at the West Everett Estates in a dresser, potentially linking mayhaps the unnamed attendant to that location. Mayhaps that was their house or something. But yes, that is it for the location, so my final thoughts I'll always like to end on. So let's have them then, shall we? I found this to be quite a interesting location. It starts off very, very ominous and very gloomy and weird, and it's one of those locations that makes you want to, keep going further, but you have some trepidation because it's, rather ominous. Really great environmental storytelling outside, seeing the door and the bulldozer and all that sort of stuff, and you go, oh wow, what the heck, what happened here? And then the fact that there's like a mix of military people and then civilian clothed skeletons, the ones that are clothed, some of them aren't, of course. It's all very intriguing. I mean, even the location, the Boston Mayoral Shelter, is enough to make you go, oh, that might have some important stuff in it. I mean, unfortunately, it ends up not having important stuff, but, you might think it will. It's a pretty sad and tragic story of what happened here, but it's a good story, I find. In general, once again, of course, potentially poking some holes in it, but apart from that... It's not too bad indeed. It's a pretty condensed location. There's not a huge amount to it, so you can get through it pretty quickly and have a good little adventure. It's the type of place that if you found it and decided, oh, I'm just going to explore this location quickly, it won't take too long and will fill pretty quick. And and there you go. You've got some fun little adventure under your belt again, and off onto your next grand adventure. I do like the idea that the wife was the one that she pushed him to, no, we want a a bar and a countertop and 2 couches and a TVs and all this sort of stuff, this opulence that she demanded, basically, or it seems like, according to her own words, I will say. And just this real selfish, self-centered idea that I want my family to be safe, and just not caring or giving a thought to the other people. And how the mayor sort of went out, deciding, I'm going to give myself to the people. Was he a coward for it, or was he trying to do the best thing he could, which was it heroic? Who knows? I think that's very much up for interpretation, whether you think he was a coward in the end or tried to actually properly make right because he really genuinely wanted to, defend his family or see them safe. I will say in the gymnasium where you find the wife's skeleton, you don't find the skeleton of anyone else. Now, traditionally, Fallout's not been too afraid of putting child-sized skeletons around here and there. I believe in one of my previous episodes, I even talked about finding almost child-sized hand skeletons in a tray. The only thought I had was that there are 2 bodies that you find in the pipes, the red pipes. However, there's only 2, and they're adult size as well. Then mayhaps they were meant to be, that maybe the kids were trying to flee through that way, and that was the end of them. But I found it a bit weird. Typically, they don't shy away from doing that sort of stuff. So curious to know where those kids went, because traditionally there would be some skeletons there. I have vivid memories of finding that size skeletons in say in Fallout New Vegas, so mayhaps in Fallout 4 they decided not to. I must admit I can't remember off the top of my head if there are skeletons that denote child-aged, teen-aged type bodies around. But yes, I do like the synths spawning in a little bit later as well. You see the turrets, and if you know the turrets, you go, oh, there's synth here. The Institute's around, but you don't find them, and they do rather creepily spawn in while you're sort of halfway into the area too. I say halfway, that's depends on your perspective, I suppose. You're sort of in there the whole way, or depending if you took the red pipe though, of course, you're sort of near the start still. It makes me wonder whether they should have left that pipe in at all, or made it a one-way exit rather than a full loop type area. But yeah, it makes me wonder if it's sort of ruined the atmosphere a little going the way I did, because I talk about the way I went about it. I didn't want to do that thing where I futz with it. I wanted to experience and write it down as I experienced it. That way I can sort of convey in my writing and with my my words and what have you the genuine experience, especially in these areas that I don't really remember or don't ever think I may have completely skipped and not even visited. So yeah, you get down to the gymnasium after investigating all these spooky, this sort of, dead place basically. Then the synths spawn and it's all gung-ho after that. I do definitely feel like the cave with the Deathclaw is also sort of meant to be kind of... Well, it's not really the final part. I was going to say it's the final bit of combat, but no. If you go the other way, go the more standard way, you'll get to the end, there'll be synths, and then you'll fight your way out with the synths, but you still might go into that cave anyway. So it's sort of feels like that gymnasium was meant to be the end area, but then they added that red pipe in for some reason. I mean, game design wise, it's fun. Not every location has to be an exact linear thing. I do think for the moment of that experience of this area as it is in itself self-contained, it would have been better if that pipe only led you out after fighting your way through synths, ending with the Deathclaw battle. But that's, pretty standard stuff, and mayhaps they decided they didn't want to do the standard stuff. But yes, that is very much it for that. That's my final thoughts and what have you from the Boston Mayoral Shelter. I tell you what, the amount of times I've had to re-record myself saying mayoral is really annoying. I'm happy to be done with this place. As fun as it was to experience. But yes, if you did enjoy this podcast and give it a like and subscribe and all that good stuff, that would really help out indeed. Leaving a comment as well is especially really helps, especially with a small little channel like this trying to start up and get itself out there. And yes, a lovely thank you and shout out to the Fallout Independent Wiki, a place I definitely use to cross-reference information, have a little look around. When I'm searching out a location that might be fun to do, I often will find a location and then look it up there to see how in-depth that location is and see if it's sort of, skimmed through and what have you. I try not to spoil too much if I'm unfamiliar with the location. And this was one of those places. I just had a quick look through and go, oh yeah, see some stuff about some things and then I just, close it off and go in and experience it myself. And then, of course, I come back later to see if I missed anything or, get the loot and get the transcripts for the holotapes as well, which is really handy. Not having to write that out manually is fantastic. So very much a thank you to them for that, indeed. But yes, thank you very much for listening, and I hope to see you next week in the next episode. But goodbye for now.